Hey everyone, Margarita here. I'm filming this here today outside the Brownstown, Michigan Police Department, where decades of ongoing crimes have been going on with my mother at the root of all of them, using the Brownstown Police Department for over 2 decades to help commit crimes against me. And I guess the first one started, I believe it was September of the year 2000. And in that year, she wanted to paint me as having a mental disorder. She had already began trying to, using a psychiatrist, and then tried to state that I was on drugs because I fell asleep one night. Tried to state that I was on ecstasy, and actually she was calling it fantasy, and that's why I fell asleep and I was late coming home about an hour. So it was about 1 a.m. when I came home at age 16. None of which was going on. But the problem is she also believes weed is a drug and still does to this day, which that's not true. So, you know, especially in this day and age where we are, weed's been recreational here in Michigan for a very long time. And I've also been a medical marijuana patient for quite some time as well. So even then, back then, yes, it was illegal. That was the only thing I was ever doing. And that was the first incident with the Brownstown police where she used them to grip me up by the neck in my own home and choke slam me into my couch, and then later had gotten me apprehended by them and used them to put me in the Wyandotte Mental Hospital, which I believe I mentioned in one of my last videos. So that was the first incident. The second incident, because I had left at age 18, a little less than 2 years later, and moved to a different county with my first home that I bought, there was no contact with this department for quite some time. I also had no contact with my mother and most of her family members. I did remain having contact with my dad. However, my children were really little, so there was no manipulation coming out of anybody's mouths being passed back and forth at that time. So nothing happened again with this department until July of 2013, where she then participated in kidnapping my 2 older kids, who I believe were 12, and they were either 12 and 9 or 10 and 13. And then I couldn't get them back, and I knew she had them, and they refused to answer the door. I did call the police. They refused to return them to me. And I do believe she had portrayed to have had custody of them by this time, and possibly had produced false documentation stating that. And I believe that because there's also, I ordered some CPS reports from 2002 to 2020, and in them, in the year 2012, she had stated to a CPS worker that she had had custody of and raised those kids, and that they lived there with her. No, they did have rooms there. That they did not raise them, and they did not have custody of them. But they have a big enough house to where they could have rooms there. But no, they lived with me the entire time. So the way it was portrayed to that CPS worker, she wrote a whole report about it. So this was about a year after that, when that incident happened in 2013, when they refused to give me my children back, and then told me it needed to go to friend of the court. And now I understand why they kept saying, take this to friend of the court, because this has happened numerous times. It's because they believe my parents to have had custody of my kids, and that's what she was telling them. So that's the reason I keep being directed toward friend of the court, when that's not the case. It's actually kidnapping. So the next incident did not occur until October 22nd of 2021. And that's when I came for the first time to report the attempted murder on myself on Labor Day weekend by my mother. I just could not get into the area due to the gas leak and me being so sick from the carbon monoxide poisoning and the brain injuries and the brain tissue being open. It was filling, loading up in my brain, running through my whole system. It felt like dirty rain running through my entire body. My brain was bleeding from it, and I was visibly shaking because there was so much in the area. It was never even technically EPA's level of all clear. For about 6 months, and even then I needed it like legitimately all clear. So when I came to make that report that day, the police officer, he spoke directly to me. I was visibly shaking because I had been up here and for about an hour, and I just came from the Flat Rock, Michigan Police Department, where I tried to report my mortgage payment being stolen by my daughter. And in the background, my mother had made a pre-phone call to the Flat Rock Police Department and the Brownstown Police Department. And I didn't find this out for like about days to maybe a week later, where she then admitted in front of Charmaine and me that that's what she had done. And so she didn't realize I was coming here to report the attempted murder. She thought I was coming to this police department to report something on my daughter. And I had actually gone to Flat Rock to make that report. So the officer heard what I said, but then saw me visibly shaking, and I kept stating my severe condition. I'm under treatment for an extreme medical emergency, which was initially left untreated. That's why I had to leave the area. I could not be up here very long. And I was stating that that she'd been telling people I have this mental disorder and this drug problem, which are not real, and portrayed to herself to have custody of my children, which was not real. So due to me, the symptoms of my actual condition, which I did do a whole video on, my medical history, my medical documents, and I released all of that publicly. If you go and view that video, you'll understand why that was the case and why I was shaking so bad and what was happening in that moment when I was trying to report to him. And here he is disregarding what's coming out of my mouth and just riding on the delusions of whatever he'd been told about me. And then he omitted the entire police body cam footage and the report, never looked into it, never wrote anything about it. And at the same time this was going on with me there in person, my mother was calling in the background to the same police department, stating that, or actually she had my father do it. It appears, because I have the paper, that she got him to place a phone call stating that they're in fear for their life, that I'm known to have this mental disorder, I'm mentally unstable, and have a gun. And that they need assistance with me coming to pick up my daughter from their home. So at the same time, this was going on at the same exact time. So then I went directly to their house, and this officer that I made the report to here showed up right behind me. And you can hear me say in the video, this is the guy I just talked to. When I tried to retrieve those records, they were nowhere to be found because they completely gotten rid of the evidence of everything I'm reporting. So they then operated on all of the delusions that they were told, because another officer had then arrived. By then I had left because nobody was listening to me. So in the one video I'm going to do, you'll see the video. You'll see that I'm trying to state facts. Nobody's listening to me, and everybody's riding on the delusions. Then that video cuts short, and whatever they talked about was also omitted and removed. So that way, you know, the evidence was covered up of the crimes they're helping commit against me and helping my mother commit and continue on with this false narrative about me. And then you can also see in the beginning of that video, he asks if I have a gun, which I didn't understand in that moment because I didn't get this document until last year. But that's why I was asked that, because they called and made a false statement stating I had a gun. So they then allowed my daughter to stay there, even though I'm saying I'm the one with custody of her. She needs to leave with me right now. Nobody else has custody of her. She's 16 years old. And they did not make her leave with me. So it created additional problems. And then the fourth incident here happened, I believe it was April 3rd of 2022. I then came back with my firsthand witness who saw the attempted murder and saw everything that happened that Labor Day weekend. And we waited here for an hour to make that report so she could give her testimony on what had all happened. And I also brought my daughter's birth certificate with me because at this point she had been truant from school for 6 months. So that date, the last contact with this police department, right after that is when she became truant for 1.5 years. And this was 6 months later, and I'm still trying to report that she's still truant in my school district. And my parents did have her at that time. She was supposed to be staying with her dad, but her dad went on vacation, but my mother was still holding her hostage there, manipulating her and brainwashing her. So still truant, but I'm the one responsible. I'm the parent responsible for this. And that police department, and that's because we have a different school district, you know, they had been involved as well, but they never collaborated with the other departments that this was going on with. So I showed the birth certificate. I stated what my mother had been telling people. I stated nobody's ever had custody of her but me. I'm the only parent on the birth certificate. Here it is. It was Officer Wheeler. We waited over an hour, and then my witness is waiting here with me over an hour to make this report. And then there was a couple officers who walked by and basically was like, haha, good luck. Did nothing about it, didn't care to look into any of it or take our reports. Nothing was ever documented. There's nothing in the system whatsoever, even though I had presented the birth certificate stating she was truant for 6 months at that time. And I can produce the school attendance record, which was given to me by the Gibraltar Police Department last year when I began requesting documents. So then there was a 5th incident, which happened, I believe it was, so it was April 23rd of 2024, the day after I'd gotten my dad's power of attorney paperwork signed, so I could begin trying to figure stuff out for him, since she had stolen my dad's 401k. I then figured out she slipped his house out from under him. I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. It was the first day I was figuring it all out. They did take the report. However, they did twist what I said in the report, and they only made a written report. I do have the video. It just shows me reporting what I was saying. And then I mentioned again the attempted murder that they had never investigated, never looked into. He wrote that, just a one sentence that I believe nobody had ever looked into it, and that was it. Still, nobody looked into it, investigated, asked any of my witnesses or anything. And then the last incident happened it was July 24th of 2024, where my mother staged a false police incident in front of her house in Brownstown, Michigan. After I had spoken to my dad over the phone, he was still at Special Tree. That's where he is today, Special Tree Spinal Care Facility in Romulus, Michigan, where he's been a long-term patient resident there since his injury. And he had said numerous times when he was fully with it that I could have any of the tools that he had. He was never going to use them again. And my mother doesn't know how to use any of them. And I had some serious damage at my home, over $100,000 in damage. You can view those videos as well on my channel. And I had finally gotten the first large check to begin the work about a month prior. And then I had gotten the second large check, and we started some more of the major work, which we needed some more of the tools, which had not been a problem that far into the game. We'd been working on the house about 6-7 months at this point, and we had gotten some tools numerous times, and it was not an issue. So my mother helped my dad use the phone that day at Special Tree. They were both aware we were headed over to get these tools. Not only that, but I had about 3 or 4 people working for me that day, all paid by the hour. And my youngest son was with me, and my youngest son and I own the home together. We came in 2 vehicles, but several sets of people all working for me, all paid by the hour, to get those tools, which we were told we could come get. And we were on a time limit with the work going on in the house. So we came to get these tools, and what she did is she left my dad's room at Special Tree, went in the hallway, and called whatever officer she's either screwing up or has in her back pocket, or is making promises to pay later down the line, and I'll get more into that later. Had him send one of his minion cops to sit out front. So when we arrived, these cops were sitting out front waiting for us to arrive, and this guy was not listening to anything that I was saying, that this is not a trespassing incident. This woman staged a whole false police incident knowing we were coming there. And it can all be proven because of all the work that had been going on, all of the witnesses. These people are paid by the hour. We have a tight schedule. We have a heavy agenda. And we wouldn't be wasting time to just go there and grab some tools or possibly grab tools. We would have never been doing that with what we had going on. And all these people can verify this. If we weren't going to have the tools or access to them, we would have just went straight to the store and bought them ourselves and skipped the entire thing. There would have been no reason to come there. With the tight schedule we were on and everything going on and me paying them all by the hour, that would make no sense. Especially because the one group of people showed up in a business truck. And then directly after this whole incident, we did go directly to Home Depot and buy the same exact tools that we came there to get. So then that receipt is time-stamped and dated. There would be no reason for that. The entire incident was staged. And here I have a video of it, explaining to that officer that the whole thing was staged. This is not a trespassing incident. This woman is manipulating the entire police department, and he's not listening to anything I'm saying. It's going in one ear, out the other. And just still acting like I'm trespassing, even though I was in the street. So I have that video as well, and I will be doing, I will be talking about 3 of these incidences in their own video. The older 3 I won't be talking about, but 3 of these incidences I will be talking about directly in their own video. So I just wanted to get it on film that this is the police department that has been helping my deranged mother directly commit crimes against me for 25 years, numerous police officers, numerous levels here in this department, ongoing. I do believe she has produced some false documentation stating that she has custody of my older 2 kids, or false documentation stating I've always had a mental disorder, something along those lines, because there would be no reason, especially with me presenting my daughter's birth certificate and her being truant for 6 months at my school district and my address. That makes no sense, because they're so heavily manipulated by whatever she says. I do believe she has a bunch of false documentation that she has previously presented to them. So I just wanted to get it on film and show the world this corrupt police department here, Brownstown, Michigan, who's been committing, it's been about 25 years worth of crimes against me. And in the end, this has destroyed many aspects of my life and disrupted my life so many times. It's caused so many problems. This is still, the problems that have all come out of this are still ongoing today. So I will be back with another one. I just want to get it on film so everybody can see this shady police department and all the crimes they're involved in. And I intend on exposing every single person involved. So I'll be back with another one. Thanks. Bye.